if you're in the market for a new saddle, man, who has a new one out that's pretty sweet, pretty affordable. The new Maverick is dropping this week. I got to set in it at the Mobile Hunter Expo up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I was real impressed with it. I think it's probably what I'm going to use this year. I got one heading my way. Be looking this week for them to drop that on their website and go to latitudeoutdoors.com and get you the Maverick saddle. It's time to start thinking about whitetail gear. ASIO Gear offers a fantastic solution for any of your clothing needs. They've crafted a premium line of bow hunting gear that stands out in quality, especially for the price point. What's more, every purchase from ASIO comes with a lifetime warranty. That gives you some peace of mind there with clothing. With their unique camo pattern and great technology in their garments, ASIO ensures you'll stay comfortable in the stand or in the saddle or whatever you're using. And here's the kicker. ASIO is offering a special deal to listeners. If you use the code ECHO15 at checkout, you can get 15% off your purchase of anything on the ASIO's website. So visit ASIOgear.com today to explore the selection of premium hunting clothing that they have over there. I've been working on a couple of new logos for the channel, and guys over at Games Trail Creative have been helping me do that, and they've made some really cool stuff for me so far. Can't wait to show you guys. If you want to take your logo on an adventure and bring it to the next level, these guys over at Game Trail Creative offer graphic design, logo design, and logo wear services. So check them out at GameTrailCreative.com. Mention BTE and get up to 2 free hours of design service on your first project. And finally, the original sponsor of this podcast, Stealth Outdoors, makers of the greatest silencing tape on this side of Mars. Good news comes from Stealth Outdoors. Lou's offering everybody that listens to the show 10% off using the code BTE10. So, go to stealthoutdoors.com. Make sure you get your silencing tape. Get you a shirt from Lou. Go over there and support Lou. He's a great guy with a great product. Visit stealthoutdoors.com. All my partners are in the description of this podcast. Go check them out. Whoops. What's up, everybody?
How's everybody doing on this Wednesday?
I'm doing good. I was a little hot earlier, but
the humidity was down here, so it was 100, but it felt pretty good outside. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It was hot. It was kind of humid here, but we also got a big rain, so that helped a little bit.
Lucky y'all.
Still no rain there.
It's been a month, man. My yards are all drying up. I'm gonna be broke, dude. I'm gonna have to start begging for money on the side of the road if I keep going. I'm gonna go get that little girl down there in Memphis on the side of the road, and
we'll talk about some of that stuff.
Yeah, start asking cash.
We'll start GoFundMe for Patrick on here.
Yeah. I think I'm all right.
For Patrick's tags. We'll call it that.
I'm not at that point yet.
All right. As you guys know, we made some videos over the weekend about me and Patrick hunting the velvet season, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about Memphis a little bit, maybe kind of swing that into some talk about Jesus and God too. But I don't know about you, Patrick, but like that was one of my, like, as far as you didn't kill one, but like that was one of my favorite hunts I've been on for a while. Like we saw a bunch of deer, some big deer.
I had a great time. I could just sit up there and watch you get excited the whole time, man. It's fun. Like I had more fun doing that than sitting in the tree by myself.
Yeah.
Like it's I'm used to jacking around like that in the duck blind or jacking around like that, when you're turkey hunting or something like that and acting silly, but it's a whole different thing in the deer woods.
Oh, yeah.
Kill one.
But, yeah. I don't ever hunt with anybody either, not in the tree like that. It's pretty funny. Like
it was fun.
Things you get to giggling about.
Yeah, just hanging off the side of the tree waiting on Mr. Big to come back.
Was that like Sunday morning we were hanging up there, and I'm kind of looking off in a different direction than you are. And all of a sudden I hear, I'm like, what? I look over, Patrick's sitting there eating gargettos or whatever those Chex Mix things are.
I was hungry. trying to get rid of them before it got to be right time to shoot.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
We had a
windy.
good time.
You couldn't hear him, but it was funny.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah. And those bucks we saw were dandies, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
I guess depends on who you know.
Oh man, I don't care. They were dandies.
Us mere mortal hunters, they were dandies.
Yeah. Just us, just a couple of guys out there trying to have a good time. Yeah, it was that he was 11, I think, is what that palmated one is. I look back at the footage and I think he's got 11 points. And then I like that other one too with the kicker.
Yeah.
I was talking to John about it and asking him what he thought, score wise, which it doesn't make a difference. Either one would have been dead meat. Had any of the three would have been dead meat and been a great deer. But
yeah,
he was talking about how small those deer are because they're kind of confined in that area and how their genetics are probably not just, the gene pool's real small. And there's some big deer in there. I mean, they get big, but they kind of see some of those things in the tighter racks, and the bodies are smaller. So, they look bigger, but they were both real. I'm not trying to down talk the deer. They were really good deer. Like, I was pretty excited.
Oh yeah. I was pumped too. I mean, they were really good deer. I mean, the one was probably close to 140, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd say he's up there around 140, especially if he's palmated. That's going to make a big difference on that one side, which he appears to be in the pictures that we've got of him. And then in that video, I couldn't really tell much in the video. Man, he had long beams too. Like what they didn't have in both of those deer, what they didn't have in spread, they had in beam length. That one deer looked like his beams were, 23, 24 inches maybe, which is pretty longer than average,
Right. How bad is my internet right now? Am I clear still?
It's not bad. No, it's not
okay.
Bad. I'll let you.
Well, if I get bad, don't be afraid to tell me, and I'll. I don't know, guys. My internet's been horrible.
Fuzzier it is, the better we can't tell about your beard. So
that's true. Yeah, my beard. You can't tell my beard's uneven then.
Yeah, it's uneven. It's uneven. Your enthusiasm needs to come up a little bit too. I need you to be a little more enthusiastic.
We are talking about some inside stuff there. Just we were venting on some comments we got on some videos about things, silly things. But anyway,
that was good hunt.
What did John think about those deer? Does he think they were 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, or?
He said he thinks they're 3 or 4. I think that one that 11. I think he's probably 4. He seemed to be just out of the way they were acting. You know how that other one chased off that smaller 8. I'd say that smaller 8 was 3.
Yeah.
I'd say the other 2 might have been 4, 5. It's hard to tell because, like I said, they're just smaller. Like in that area, they don't have some of those features that you see in the bigger deer. So, but it doesn't matter.
John mentioned that. I mean, well, you know too. You've hunted in Memphis there. A mature deer may only weigh 150 pounds, right?
Sometimes it just depends. Like that place that I used to hunt, like some of the deer were kind of compact like that, and I killed 2 on that place that were mature. I killed one that was 156. I don't know what the second one is. He's bigger. He's that big wide buck I got upstairs. And the big wide one looked like a big Midwest deer. The other one was tight rack, like I said, super heavy. I mean, his freaking tines have the circumference. They're probably 4 inches around circumference on every one of his tines. He's just a massive deer. But he was very short, but he was built so stocky, it was kind of hard to tell. But like he was that smaller frame deer. I could show you pictures of both of them, and you can tell the difference in the size of the 2 deer. One had a little bitty old rump, and he was just kind of compact, like smaller, and the other one was long and had big rear end, big chest, and that big forehead. They both had that big forehead caved in, like they get when they're 5 plus. And they're probably close to the same age. I'd say maybe that bigger one might have been 6 years old, if I guess, but they were that 5-6-year-old range. And, they're just different in the city. You kind of never know what you're going to get to because the ones I killed, they traveled up and down a creek. So he could have come from miles away to get to me and been, in beans all summer and have a wider selection of genetics. The first one I killed back in 2011, he lived on a horse farm. that's close to where I hunted. And I actually saw him in the summertime, and he actually jumped the fence and like traveled all through the city. I showed you where he traveled, like all up in the city to get to me. When I was a police officer, I actually spotlighted him, and in the, I could do that because I was law enforcement. So I actually spotlighted him. Didn't shoot him. I spotlighted him because I was like, oh, look at that buck, like any of you on here would do.
Yeah.
And was if you're a police officer, and some of you if you're not. And I was like, oh wow, look at that buck. And it was him. And the first time I saw him was from behind in velvet. And you can imagine a deer with like 6-inch bases and all that mass. I mean, all of his circumferences are over 4 inches. So if you can imagine a deer with that much mass, splits on one side from behind, I mean, he just looked like a toad, But he was really short bodied. Like I said, he was just different. Maybe it's just genetics, or maybe it has something to do with the lack of genetic material to get from other deer. So, but anyway, you look like you're in the foggy glass now. Now you're frozen again. Josh, you always have the best picture too. Well, Josh is going on pause for right now, so I'll just keep the show rolling. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
Am I clear?
Yeah.
Can you
clear
hear me
as
now?
a bell. Clearish.
Okay,
you're
good.
clearish. Anyway, I was just talking about the deer, so nothing major.
Yeah. I was only gone for a few seconds.
Yeah.
And I guess we were in Memphis, but it's not like, I mean, we were kind of in a bad area in the hood, but we had a lot of ground around us. Like there wasn't a housing addition like we were hunting outside of or anything.
No.
So it wasn't like
there was a neighborhood, but it was to the south of us. It was just like a little subdivision. Everything else is
and
big.
It wasn't, yeah. It wasn't like we were hunting like Sequon style. Like we weren't hunting on half-acre partials inside of a housing addition or anything.
No.
So it felt more like hunting normal to me. Like I didn't feel like I was in the middle of Memphis.
I did it for so long. It kind of got me excited to hunt like that again. Because when I used to hunt my place that I had in the center of the city, or in the city of like, well, it's not in the center, but it's in a neighborhood basically. But it was 160 acres, which is wild. Like it was huge with a big field. I planted it one year in soybeans, and and I just got permission, probably because I was a police officer, and I saw a guy bush hogging, and I was like, "Hey, can I hunt out here?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I talked to the company that owned it and just told them I'd keep it clean and patrol it for them. And they sent me a unlimited permission for as long as they own the property. Unfortunately, they sold it, but I had it for about 12 years that I could hunt out there. And it just, the deer just acted so much like that place we were at. It can draw a lot more deer all season. I think the place that I had that was in that subdivision, it was kind of weird. I remember I'd get in the mid-20s different bucks from like November 5th to November, like, I don't know, 18th or whatever. But pretty much after then, I didn't get any different bucks. And whatever the biggest mature buck was, that was the only mature buck that would stay there the whole season. And everything else, nothing else. I never got any other pictures, any other good bucks. I'd had some satellite bucks that were, 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds, but never anything just giant. I just had the one mature buck, and he would have it, and then I'd kill him. And then it was kind of like, I don't know, the rut was over. There was probably maybe 7 or 8 mature does that lived on there, maybe more, maybe 10 at the most, that lived on that piece of property, and their fawns and, their bucks from the year before. So once they were bred, which happened pretty quickly, because there's only 10 of them, he was gone. And then he went on the search for another doe on probably another piece of property. I've had that happen before.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. The city, you learn a lot too about hunting deer when you hunt them like that, because they act like deer are supposed to act. So you kind of get to know, which is weird because the deer, we're all used to hunting out in the country and on WMAs and public land. They act totally different. Like a deer on private, a lease or whatever that you have is going to act different from a public ground deer, and they're going to act different from a city deer, and they're going to act different from a hunting club style deer. But it's just, I learned so much hunting those city deer and watching their behavior, and learning how, like, I didn't realize how far deer would travel from one place to another to go to their breeding area. And
Yeah.
that was like the first time. And that's when, you know, I think a lot of people think like, oh, I got to save this buck. I'm not, you know, I don't want anybody hunting my stand, or I don't want anybody hunting in my area if they're in a club or on a lease with people. And like, it really doesn't matter, because like, if that deer comes by you, it's a 1 in a million anyway. So, and there might be another one that comes by you. They travel so much, it made me stop thinking about spots and stands, locations that I had, and trying to be more greedy with them. And it kind of made me go, man, these deer can show up anywhere. And then I just tell people, hey, if you want to hunt my stand, hunt it. If he comes by you that day, then it's meant to be, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't nervous about hunting there until like I kind of noticed you were a little bit nervous starting out. And that didn't
Yeah.
bother me really that much, because you like patrolled that area, and that property
Yeah.
you're on, you guys did a big drug bust there.
Yeah. Found a
So
bunch of marijuana plants down in there.
yeah. And you know, the subdivision that we were hunting next to it's a rough. I mean, it ended up being not as rough as what you remembered it, or it used to be, I guess. But it's not like a nice subdivision. It's a
No.
Memphis subdivision.
It's not really a slum. It's just middle class, you know.
But then, yeah, you called one of your police buddies that I think is still patrolling it, and you're like, you were on there. He was on speaker, and you were telling him about where we were hunting at, and he's like, man, he goes, man, you probably have someone try to break into your truck, or worst case scenario, someone rob you when you get back to the truck at night. And I'm like, oh crap,
Yeah.
like how rough is this place, you know?
Yeah, that was Jeff. He's a big hunter too. So like, trust me, he's been down in there looking at those deer back when he's patrol. He's in a different department now, but he's the one that made that big drug bust. Him and another one of my guys that I worked with down there. They found all that marijuana down there. It was like, I don't know what it was. It was huge though. It was a bunch of marijuana and then a bunch of plants, which plants carry their own like it's not just one plant. Like one plant equals so many grams or so many pounds of marijuana is how they charge it. So yeah, it was a lot, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was all just trash everywhere. That's the thing that I didn't like about it. It's just like you drive down the road and there's nothing but like old bed frames, garbage, just bags of garbage everywhere. That's what I was like, man, this is kind of sad in there. Like people don't take care of stuff very well.
The city will charge the landowner for that trash. John showed me where he had a letter from the city where they said they were going to, if they had to clean up that trash that was in front of his property, that they were going to charge him $110 an hour. You know, for
yeah, it's not even his though. Like it just someone dumped a bunch of stuff on his land.
Yeah, that's why on that other piece of property I had, that was part of the deal. Like I had to keep it clean and make sure nobody, and they didn't dump there when I was over there, because I would sit at that gate and watch deer every evening. You know, I'd spotlight them to see what was out in that field, and I'd drive the perimeter of that gate. I'd literally drive that perimeter from the time I got on shift in between calls till it got dark and watch deer, you know. So if you want to know what police are doing, that's what we're we're not looking for people. I wasn't looking for people to pull over. I was looking for deer to kill.
That's funny.
They used to have this thing in there. So we had, when I first came on the department, that was in 2009. They had a camera on top that had FLIR vision, so you could see in the dark. And he used to drive around and find deer with that. It was fun. I'd turn that thing on and rotate the camera, you know, to the side or whatever, and watch it on the screen in the car, and I could see infrared.
That's like that.
Like Predator, man.
The fishing stuff. What's it called? I can't remember now.
Live scoping
for deer.
Yeah. I was like Predator, man. All I need to do is climb a tree and put the mask on and turn invisible. I'd have been a Predator out there hunting deer.
Dude, what? So it seems like in the last couple of years, Memphis has got even worse.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, I mean, after we got to talking about it, and you said that Memphis is the most dangerous city in the United States, and we kind of looked it up, and it is. Well, it's not even that; it's the 10th most dangerous. It's ranked 10th most dangerous in the world right now.
Yeah, think about it. There's places that the Taliban have control over that are safer than Memphis.
Yeah, what?
Like, you know, ISIS controlled areas are safer than Memphis. Well, if they were still
Yeah.
around, which I'm
And then
sure
we
they were.
weren't even. I mean, we were not. I mean, the area we were in is not a nice area. Like it was still not
No,
great, you know. But
no, it's pretty bad.
um, yeah, it's like what happened to that place? Because like back in the day, it was a nice city, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, Democrat leadership,
yeah,
not Democrat people or voters, because you know, if there's any on here, no, you vote how you want to. But yeah, Democrat leaders. It's been a blue city for man since 1988, I think, and it's just has slowly gotten. I mean, it's just run into the ground with bad policies, and then now the city's got a district attorney in there that he's for that same thing like New York, like no bail. Like there was a guy that shot up a place in Memphis while you were in town, and like a nice place. I guess he got mad at somebody and just shot it up, and they arrested him, and he wounded 4 people, I think, and they let him out ROR, like no bond, just released on recognizance. So he's master of his own destiny at this point. And they do that a lot with this DA we've got in here. And then we have I'm not a Memphian anymore, but there's a police chief, and she's just about as worthless as, I don't know. She's not a very good. She's not good at her job. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
And then just in general, the body cameras on officers, the scrutiny, that they can't do anything anymore, man. They've tied their hands. So it's out of control. It's definitely out of control. So if you think about coming and hunting in Memphis, bring your gun.
yeah. Brandy, your wife was very nervous about us going there.
Yeah, she was, but she gets nervous about everything. So,
Yeah, I mean, but I
but
kind of
she
understand
had
it.
you could see though, she had good reason, like where we
Yeah,
were at and stuff. But I'm
yeah,
like that anywhere. There's really nowhere in Memphis that I would feel. Even the old place I hunted, which is in a lot nicer part of town, it still made me nervous going over there and hunting. You just don't know what people are going to do to your truck. You don't know if people are going to, like John told me that he was out there with a guy, and um, they were coming down off the stage like, "Hey, come up here," and some guys just started shooting into the field, just shooting their guns. He said they had to hit the ground for 30 minutes waiting on them to stop shooting, and they were yelling, and they could hear the guys talking. They were just cutting up. I mean, think about it. You live down there, you're in a neighborhood, you got this open field behind your house, and you got a new pistol or AR or whatever, and you just want to go pop off some rounds. I mean, those people don't care that live down there. They're a lot of them are criminals or around criminal behavior, and they got nothing to lose. So they just went out and started shooting in the field. And he said they had to hit the deck, man, and like stay on the ground for like 30 minutes after dark till those guys stopped shooting. I was like, oh, he said that's the only thing that's happened since he's been out there that's been bad, other than catching a couple of poachers.
yeah, yeah. I could see it. And then I mean, there's literally someone on every corner begging for money, and we saw this one girl. She probably looked like she was in her 20s, was a
Yeah.
pretty girl, like seemed like she could have a whole lot going for her, and she was just sitting on the corner with a bucket begging for money. It's like, gosh,
Yep.
man, what's going on here, man?
Yeah, it's sad. We have a lot of that in Memphis. And it's sad. That's why I
Yeah,
moved away. When I
yeah,
quit the police department, my wife got another job, and we sold our house, and we moved out in the country where we're supposed to be.
yeah.
So
You're about an hour outside of Memphis, or where we were hunting.
yeah, 45 minutes from where we were. Yeah, because it took us like 45 or 50 minutes to get down there.
Yeah,
Um, but no, I don't want to live in a big city. No
yeah.
way.
Well, it seems like Memphis may be the last one you want to live in too right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, since it's the first and all the violent crime, it's crazy. Somebody
Yeah,
asked me, some guy commented on our video. He's like, "No way it tops Baltimore." I was like, "Oh yeah, it does." Like
yeah,
per capita is how you got to look at it. I think there's 600,000 Memphians, and there were 400 homicides last year. And then the crime, like carjacking, violent crime, is what's crazy. Like robbers, that's not everybody that got shot. There's probably another 1,500 that got shot and lived. Fortunately, the people that are shooting aren't very good shots. If there's a bunch of deer hunters out there, everybody'd be dead, but and I saw the other day where they said that they're trying to do gun control laws in Memphis. It's like, oh yeah, great. Let's just really turn in Chicago. No bail, and let's keep the guns out of the everybody's hands. It's a law-abiding citizen.
yeah.
Yeah, Jackson's pretty rough too. Hunter 615 said his wife's from Jackson. Yeah, it's Jackson, Tennessee, which isn't far from here. It's still a lot nicer than Memphis, but yeah, it's still got the same little parts of it that are terrible. Yeah, I know where Truman is. Yeah, you're not far from us.
In April, you guys hit 100 homicides by April this year.
Yeah, so that's a quarter, or
Not even,
a little over a quarter of this year. So they'll probably be on par 400. Police just can't do anything, man. I mean, they got these guys that go out in their cars now and do these Sunday slide where they just get in an intersection and they all do donuts for like however long they want to and stop all the oncoming traffic, and like it's freaking like it's a circus, man. It's a circus.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's why my wife and I, we want to move out somewhere away from here. Get further away, because no matter what, crime seems to eventually get to your doorstep.
Yeah. Yeah, Memphis has set records 3 years in a row for their city and homicides. So every year it's went up.
Yeah, every year.
Last year was 399, so you were exaggerating slightly.
Well, 300. There was 399, and then this is the thing that they count. If you die on January 1st and you were shot on December 25th, you go in the next year. So it's like we had 10 people die from gunshot wounds a year later, so we're going to count those this year instead of last year. But they were shot. I mean, it's just crazy, man.
Huh? Yeah. Man, we talked about it a little bit on there. Just like, what are these people doing, man? Like, I was asking you about if anybody goes to church in Memphis, and you said, yeah, most of the older generation does.
Yeah, there's a lot. Churches are really big in the South. I mean, in Memphis, there's one on every corner.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. I noticed driving around, there's a bunch of churches.
There's a lot of churches. When you're trying, this is what it breaks down to. So some people like to blame it on people's skin color. Some people like to look at, I mean, it's a combination of things. Skin color is the last of it. It's socioeconomic. It's fatherless homes, and it's just hopelessness. And man, literally, you think about what you were doing, what you would do if you were just trying to survive. Like some of these kids that are like 13, like they don't have a dad, which is horrible for a young man not to have a father if he's just absent because he chose to be, or they're dead. And then like they don't have money, and so they want the same things everybody else wants, and they got one way to do it, and it's like in the wild, it's like survival of the fittest. So they got to go out there and hustle, and they steal, they rob, they join gangs because so they got an 18-year-old that they look up to, and they're like 14 or 13, and this 18-year-old doesn't know anything either, and he was taught nothing because he was taught by another 18-year-old. I mean, it's really sad. So that's why there's so much crime. It's survival, man. These kids don't even get 3 meals a day, and when school's out in the summer, man, these kids aren't eating. They might eat a bag of chips and a soda or something like that, or a Coke or something, and go out looking for something to rob or some home to burglarize. And it's just in certain neighborhoods, and it does happen to be a certain demographic, but it's just if you don't have a dad in the house and you have hopelessness, you don't have anything to lose, man. Yeah. And they don't know Christ, like and here we have a large Black population, so that's where most of our crime is in our city, is because it's a very under what do you call it? Just poor Black population, right? And a lot of them, there's no fathers, but the mothers, man, Black mothers are like the leading demographic of Christians. So they're all Christians, but it just shows you how important, even with a really good mom that's a Christian that's trying to do the best she can for you, or grandma, because the grandma a lot of time has these kids because the moms are not any good either. It's just really hard to break free of your surroundings, especially when that's all you know and you don't have a father. So everybody be thankful that we have an earthly father, if you have one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you kind of like you kind of told me that while we were driving around too, just looking at things, and it's like, you like from the outside looking in. I live in a small town in southern Indiana, right? Like, there probably haven't been 400 homicides in the life of this place, you know.
Right.
There hasn't been, I guarantee it. And like, yeah, it's you don't you kind of take for granted where you live. Like I could have been born in the middle of Memphis and not had a prayer, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I said, it's not a color thing. It just happens to be that's the demographic in Memphis is bad. Like, because like you go out west, a lot of states they have problems with Indians or Hispanics or whatever. It's just that poor and whites. I mean, there's a lot of whites that are poor
yeah,
too. And I mean, I went to school with them. I knew them, you know, and there's a lot of whites that were just terrible, man. And it's just they didn't have dads. That was the one common denominator, no dad. And you know, I don't know what you could do in the hunting community that would be really cool to take some of these kids out of the inner city and introduce them to the outdoors. Um, I saw something really interesting that Bobby Kennedy said on Tucker Carlson's podcast, and he was talking about the different religions, and he was talking about how Jesus had to spend 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness to get close to God, and how um, was it Abraham had to spend time in the wilderness, and Muhammad, you know, had to spend time in the wilderness, and I think the Buddhist as a Buddhist or Hindu had to spend time, and how every culture, every religion has to go out into the woods, into the wilderness, to experience God and to get His vision, you know, from God. And that's where Jesus, I think he said that's where Jesus found his divinity, was in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. Um, and so, I mean, you know, I'm thankful that my dad took me in the woods because, man, all my friends I grew up with, they all went to jail, had drug problems, overdosed on drugs. And I mean, I lived in a nice neighborhood. It was middle class. It wasn't upper middle class. It was just, you know, probably middle class, you know, lower to middle class. Right. So like I had some kids that were, you know, didn't have, and that's another comment. They didn't have dads. I had a dad. Right. And so my dad made sure I was with him on the weekends hunting. He was active with me, and, you know, the woods made me have an appreciation, I think, for life, and made me have something to look forward to and strive to be able to do. And I just wonder if like we could take kids out of the, you know, out of that and introduce them to the woods. You know, it's just, you know, with guns and, you know, parents and all the weird stuff that goes on and stuff, it's kind of hard to do nowadays. But I think anytime you get to mentor a kid, and if you love the outdoors and you can share that with them, I think it's a good thing.
yeah. You mentioned to me while we were driving around is like, because I was like, man, these like getting arrested to these people probably isn't a big deal, or it's like a regular occurrence for some of them. Because you were talking about you arrest people a handful of times in their
Yeah.
lifetime, like the same person over and over,
Yeah.
you know. And
No
you're
big
like,
deal.
yeah, well, if you don't have like you don't have anything to look forward to in life, like they don't have anything, like why do they care? Like what's it matter? They're not really messing up a future because they don't really have a future that they
Yeah.
can see, you know. So
Yeah.
man, that's tough to even think about, like feeling so worthless that like whatever, I'll get arrested again. Like who cares?
Yeah. And the thing is like what you're saying, like a lot of these guys, it's a relief because they're not going to get shot in jail. Uh, there's other guys that they're friendly with, or they know, or they all cut up, you know, while they're in there, just a bunch of other guys. They get 3 meals and they get a bed to lay down in. And that to a lot of them, that's more than what they get when they're out on the street at home doing their thing. You know, they got to share a bed with
Agreed.
3 other brothers and sisters. And I mean, I've walked into houses where they literally, the whole floor of a bedroom was nothing but mattresses, just mattresses laying on the floor. And there was like 4 kids, 6 kids laying. That's where they slept, boys and girls, boys at 13, 14, and girls at 6, 7, 8. And like you talk about like the potential for issues with assault and, you know, sexual assault and stuff like that. It's, you know, people got to have some empathy for those people. I didn't used to when I was a cop, but as I've grown in my faith and stuff, I definitely have a lot of empathy for people like that now.
Yeah. Yeah, because those kids don't. I mean, ain't those kids' fault, right? I mean, what what do they know? You know,
No,
they're 10 years old.
no, it's too easy just to point the finger and go, man, their parents shouldn't have had kids, or, you know, if they had a dad around, you know, I mean, that is a big deal, but, you know, I think as a society, something, I don't know if we can figure it out. We're too busy trying to take care of ourselves these days and times, but, you know, if we had more time, you know, program like a hunter's program for kids where you could, you know, take them out in the woods and mentor them, and, but it really would need to be available to them pretty often, not just one time. It'd need to be a thing where you just latched onto a kid and like took him hunting with you, and share the outdoors with him. But I think it would really save a lot of kids' lives, to be honest with you.
Yeah, or at least get them going in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, man. I've been to places in the world that were like poorer than Memphis, like in Asia. Some places in Asia that were just, I mean, they're living in like, shacks and things like that, where they, don't
on
have
top of each other.
Yeah, they don't have running water. They don't have all that. They're like carrying water into their house on buckets, like that kind of thing. But I don't think the crime, like, they're just poor. Like they don't have bad morals, or like they don't have issues. They, the families are all there. They're all together. It's just poor.
Yeah.
Just because of resources, really, is the only reason.
Well, we have a lot of resources here. Like even the poor people have an Xbox. Even the poor people have smartphones. Even the poor people have flat screens. So like, if you don't have a flat screen, you just go steal the neighbors down the street that you saw last time you were over at the house playing with the kid. I mean, that's really how it goes. That you don't have an Xbox, man. They used to stick the heck out of Xbox and PlayStations, man. And it's kids, and it's because they don't have one, but the kid down the street does, because maybe he's got a grandma that makes some money that got him one for Christmas. Well, they just come in and steal it. I mean, Christmas, man, they used to go in and burglarize houses in Christmas and steal everybody's presents. I mean, it just made you feel horrible for these kids that were 5 and 6 years old that aren't even old enough to be, quote unquote, bad kids. And some 13, 14-year-old comes in and burglarizes the house and takes their Xbox, and doesn't even think twice about it. Like there's no compass, no moral compass, and if you could introduce those kids to Christ and introduce them to the outdoors, I think it would make a world of difference. I'd like to do something like that. I just don't know how you would go about doing that without the liability or possibly putting yourself at risk this day and age. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My buddy Scott Cronin he struggles with that too. He's an ag teacher and does a lot of stuff like that for kids, but it's getting harder and harder, he said, where it's almost impossible now to organize something like that.
Yeah.
And then you got funding going away for programs like that too, because of hunting or guns or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. THP, there was like a archery class or something, and I saw that they were wanting to do away with the archery class in a school because it had to do with hunting and it was archery, and it's like, I mean, a kid could pick up a bow and become the next Olympic archer that wins a gold medal. I mean, that's opportunity, even though people might not see it, learning something that, not necessary in today's time, such as shooting a bow.
Yeah.
It's like a problem.
Yeah. That's what Patrick's going to be. He's going to be the next Olympic archer, recurve shooter.
I'm working on it.
He closes that one eye and it just
close that eye. This eye. Yeah, this eye. This computer. Look at myself.
Yeah, it's backwards on the computer.
Yeah. So closing this eye. This is the right eye. Shooting it shot a lot better today. I'm happy. Had fun with that bow you bought, you bought one, and the bow that I bought that you set up for me. So I was in there taking a nap. Yes, I was a Christian when I was a cop. I just saw that. I'm sorry, I bounced around. Yeah, I was a Christian.
Oh yeah, Josh had a question. He said, "Why do you think you care now but didn't as a cop?"
Because you just become hardened. You can't really care. Like you're an instrument of the law. And I had compassion for people, and I did talk about Jesus and tried to save kids and stuff. I did that a lot, and I really enjoyed that part of the job, was trying to talk to kids. But man, you're just such a small encounter of the day. You can just throw some seed and a little fertilizer, and you hope it takes. President's Island's where some big deer are, and I am drawn for it this year. Last two guys are action. I actually got drawn for it this year. I've been putting in for 14 years. But yeah, I think I just my heart softened when I really started chasing Jesus. I didn't chase Jesus when I was a cop, and I started chasing Jesus in the last couple of years, and it softened my heart on everything. It's when you're a police officer, it's just impossible, man. You're just negative, and like I've said on here before, man, you get negative towards a certain group of people, and because you deal with it all the time, and that's all you deal with, and you just can't live your life like that. You got to start seeing things outside the box and trying to have empathy for those people. Trust me, I'm still aware and I'm still careful around, and I don't trust. And I'm going to watch those people that look shady to me, regardless of who they are. But I have a lot more empathy especially for the kids. Even the 13-year-olds that are out robbing and doing the things, man. They're just emulating people that are older than them and doing what they think they have to do. It's sad.
Yeah. I used to work with a cop. He worked part-time at this place that I worked at growing up in high school. Same place my dad worked, but he would drive a truck during he worked night shifts or something like that, or I can't remember exactly, but or evening shifts, and then drove a truck during the day for the company me and dad worked for. He was a police officer. Man, he would come in just mad at the world sometimes.
It's bad for your soul.
Yeah. He was a funny guy, but I never forget. I was sitting in there. He's always kind of late, which was fine. He was part time. He just kind of came and went as he pleased, as long as he got his route in. And I was sitting in the office waiting for him, and he came in. I was like, "Good morning, Bob," and he's like, "There's nothing good about this morning."
Oh yeah,
and just kept on walking, and I was laughing.
Oh, negative, man. I've met so many cops that were just like that.
Yeah.
Mad at the world, never smile. One of my best friend cops that when I was on was a guy named Jermaine Simpson. I love Jermaine. We shared a lot together, and we went through an experience together with one of our partners getting murdered, and came real close after that, talking and stuff, and kind of going through that together. But anyway, man, he didn't smile very much. He'd laugh every now and then on the lot when they were talking about football or whatever, funny stuff. But man, he was a serious cop, good officer.
Yeah,
just real serious.
This guy retired recently, but he'd been a police officer. I'm just guessing it, but it's a long time. His whole career, he was a police officer.
Yeah.
So 30, 40 years, whatever it was. I don't know. It was a long time.
A long time.
And yeah, he's like, man, back when I first started in the 80s or 90s, whenever it was, he's like, I felt like I was helping people. I felt like I was out here making this town a better place, and I felt like I was an asset, and people respected us and all that. And he's like, now I just feel like I arrest the same 4 people every week for the same exact charges, and then they get back out and they're back doing the exact same thing, and I have to arrest them again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I did it. And I mean, you get to the point where you're like, why am I doing this? Am I making a difference? And then you're working in neighborhoods that honestly, they don't care about them, and everybody's bad. Not everybody, but a lot of people are bad down there. And you're like, I'm putting my life on the line. These people hate me. They're not even going, they don't care about me. And I'm out here trying to help these people, and it's the same freaking people you're locking up every week. And then they go downtown, and then the justice system lets them right back out after they victimize somebody, and with a slap on the wrist. All the while, at the time I left, all the while you got to wear a daggone body camera, and you're scrutinized for every little human mistake you make on a call. It just wasn't worth it anymore, and it wasn't doing anything for my soul. So I had to go. I did 10 years, and it was it. I listened to God. I believe God intervened and told me I needed to go. And I listened to him whenever he said something. I prayed to him about it. And I started my lawn business a year before I left. And then when I left, prayed about it. And it was just like, man, God just was sending me work to where I had enough money a month to leave. And I'm fortunate enough to have a wife that had a job with insurance, and, the rest is history. I just left it in the rear view, but I still care about police officers and policing, and still keep up with a lot of my old partners and people I worked with, and good people on the department. But
yeah, for the most part, is a lot of the people you work with quit too, or moved on to something different?
A lot of people quit that I graduated with. We graduated 44 out of my class, and I'd say maybe 20 of them are still there, maybe less. There was a big turnover in 2012 or 2011. They took our benefits. They reduced our pay. They cut our pay 4.6%. And then in 2014, I think, they took away all the health benefits for retirees. So if you'd worked your whole life, if you were a 40-year officer like that friend of yours, right, and then you left, you're supposed to have insurance the rest of your life through the department, and cheap insurance. Well, insurance has steadily started going up. And then they said, look, we're not paying for their insurance anymore. So they cut the insurance. And then my class that I graduated in was the first one to lose their pension. So then there was no insurance when I retired, no pension, just like a 401k plan. I was like, man, this is not what I signed up for. Like, I got into this so that I would never have to worry about money the rest of my life, like having an income.
Yeah.
And then when you retire, you can go do something else. I could cut grass when I retired. I would be able to retire at 54. And, it's time to go. So that's why I left. And I think they lost about 800 officers within a 4 or 5 year span.
Jeez.
And they're still down. They're still down like 400 officers. I think the complement's like 2,400, and I think they've got around 2,000. So they're still understaffed, and they will hire you if you have a heartbeat. They put a uniform on Huck and give them a set of keys if they could.
Really?
Yes. I mean, it's that bad, and you can see it in how these new police officers are acting, not to mention the generation that's coming up now, 21-year-old now with a gun and a badge. Can you imagine? It's just, it's bad.
Yeah. It's definitely a weird culture that we live in with the police officer thing. Like, it's weird. Yeah. It reminds me of a little bit like back in the day, New York was like that, where the police officers were kind of just pawns essentially for the mob. Like,
yeah.
Now these are just kind of pawns for the government, right? Like what are you even here for? Like police officers,
Yeah.
And that's why people hated Theodore Roosevelt so much, is because he went in and cleaned up all the police officers for New York.
Yeah. Well, Giuliani did it too.
I'm talking about way back in the day.
Yeah. But
the mob ran New York, and
Giuliani did a lot like sooner. It wasn't the mob; it's just cleaning up all the crime. He had to clean it up. I guess they'll have to finally get sick and tired of it enough where they can get another Republican in there that'll clean up, or let's just say non-Democrat, because I don't care for either party that much. But let's say non-Democrat in there that will clean up New York again, because it's a mess all over again.
Yeah, I've never been to New York.
I don't want to go. I don't care.
Yeah, I want to go. I want to go and see the city.
What's that Hank Williams song? Which one is it? Go to New York.
I'd rather go to hell or New York City. It'd be about the same to me.
Yeah. I couldn't think of it. I went brain dead.
Yeah.
It would be. There's a special place in New York for people like whoever you want to.
We got to start playing guitar on here. You ever watch the 3 of 7 project? Whenever they someone got Chad a guitar, he can't play it, but he like tries to every and he sings a song. It's usually a Hank Williams Jr. song. That's why that's what reminded me of it.
Yeah.
What's up, Skid Marks?
Yeah, what's up, Skid Marks? I like that. We start opening the show like, "What's up, Skid Marks?" Y'all are all with us today. That's great. Yeah, if heaven ain't a lot like Dixie, I love that. Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, you wonder what God thinks of Memphis. Like it's a, I don't know, man. The world's a weird place, dude.
Well, God is where you want him. If you invite him in, he'll do wonders. And when you don't, well, there you have it, Memphis or New York City. I watched, somebody was talking the other day, and they were talking about our country. I forget who it was. Oh, it was Charlie Kirk, and he was talking about our country and how everything is shifted, right? How it's just like the government and the people and the Democratic Party and what's going on. And he said that, he was talking to somebody, said that our government was founded on God, in Jesus, that the principles of our Constitution are God given and from Jesus. And it's a whole backing for our country as a Christian nation, Judeo-Christian nation. And that the further that our country gets away from God, that they're in conflict. The Constitution and the populace is in conflict with each other. And that's why we're starting to see so much radical stuff happen so fast in America in the last 20 years with the promotion of, or the encouragement of so many things that are the total antithesis to the Bible, right? Or to God, homosexuality encouraged, pride, what's the other, abortion encouraged, it's fine, go do it, it's just a clump of shells, stuff like that. And how the further that people get away from the Bible, the easier it is for the devil to lure them into voting for these people who are demonic, in my opinion. I think it's on both sides. It's just there's one side that is just like, we don't care, we're not even trying to hide it, we support Satan and we don't want God in our platform. And I think it's because we've done so far away. The country has gotten so far away from God. When I was a kid, you could pray in school. You had a moment of silence. They talked about God and God we trust. Now all that stuff, we're just like, let's get everything that has to do with God out of our schools and never say the word Jesus Christ. And look at where our country has slowly fallen and rapidly falling now, the further and the more people stray, and don't put their faith in him. I mean, I think we're at a perfect setup for a revival here in the country. I pray that's what happens, but it's tough. It's going to be tough for a little while.
Me and my buddy Zank were talking today about he's going to be down in this area during the election, and he's kind of like, are you kind of worried about what's going to happen after the election this year? Like, do you think I should be at home instead of at your house? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, man. Like I said, I mean, I'd like to think that you'd be able to get home if you needed to.
Depends on where you live.
Yeah, I said you had to go around Chicago. I would definitely go around Chicago probably to get back to your house.
Well, my wife's got a trip out to Colorado Springs for work, and I was really hesitant about letting her, go. And I was like, that's November 5th is the election. She wants to go on the 4th. That's when this conference starts, or maybe a day or two after. If it's after, I'm all right with that. But I'm like, if Trump wins, you could have something break crazy in the country. If Kamala wins, and it's not legit, which it won't be, you could have something crazy happen in this country. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know it could go
like this close to a civil war. And I honestly do think that if Trump doesn't win, there's a really good chance. And it looks funky like it did, and even more funky than the last time. I 100% believe that he could be, who was it? Was it Andrew Jackson? Which one was the one that was the president of the Confederacy? I should know. It was Andrew Jackson, wasn't it?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Zeke? Yeah. Hey, who was it? Was it Andrew Jackson? I mean, and honestly, I mean, if it's to save our republic, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's the right thing to do or wrong, but yes, I agree with your friend. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's weird.
It was Jefferson Davis, right? It was Jefferson Davis. Is that right, Farrell?
Yeah.
Yep, Jefferson Davis. I don't know why I said Andrew Jackson, because we were talking about that place we hunted was named after him.
Oh,
me and John were talking about that. His deed on his property actually goes back to Andrew Jackson.
No kidding?
Yes, he said that property was owned by Andrew Jackson, and that when they emancipated the slaves, he gave his slaves, those people that owned that property before he bought it, you can go back in the line. It was descendants of slaves. That was the land that he gave them.
That Andrew Jackson owned.
Andrew Jackson gave them that land and said, "Here's your land. You're free." And that they kept it in their family. The guy that he bought it from, his last name was Jackson, because you remember the slaves took the last name of their master back in. In the days. So their last name would have been the same. So his last name, right. So it's all the way down the line. Isn't that crazy?
That's cool. I mean, that isn't cool, but like,
yeah. Well, he gave them land and said, "You're free." Thank God. Thank God for it. But it's cool that they got the land and that it's the history's there. It's you can't escape history. No,
it's just a neat thing to see. Like,
and Andrew Jackson, I think he has some ties to Memphis too. I should know this stuff, being a former Memphian. I like to say former.
Oh man, yeah. Okay? Someone asked earlier about September. What's your September plans for deer hunting?
I actually might hunt some in September because I'll be home. Usually, I'm out of town that last week.
Yeah,
Bernie and I usually take a trip. So if I can get on something pretty good, I'll probably stick around here. I was thinking about going to Kentucky. Like you and I kind of talked about going up there, but I just don't know if money and work is going to let me do it.
Everything's expensive this year, man.
Yeah, and work's been real slow this year too. So
yeah, I'm going to head up to Wisconsin for their opener. So
yeah,
my September.
I'd like to do that. Fly in.
Yeah. Dan asked me to go to Nebraska, but I just can't. I got I was hunting with you, and then I had to turn around and go right to Nebraska now. It's like I can't be away that much.
Yeah, because their season opens what, Sunday?
Yeah,
Was it the first?
Yeah. And then I would turn around and go to Wisconsin. It's just like it's too expensive. There's too much going on in the house, and I don't want to be gone this year much at all.
What about Kentucky?
What?
What about Kentucky? You're just
I don't know. I thought about that. Me and Maddie thought about going camping down there next weekend, but we got a family reunion Sunday that we had to get back for. So it's like, do I just go down there for one day? It's like,
You always skip the family reunion.
Yeah, I don't want to though. We did last year.
Just dye your dad's hair. Just dye your dad's hair and say, it's be Josh for a minute and yourself. Give him a wig.
I think we missed it last year. They do it every year, and we missed it last year because I was deer hunting. So I just feel like I kind of want to go. I like going to seeing family. It's not all about deer hunting.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't want to spend. I got you got to go to Kentucky. There goes another $400 or whatever it is. It's like,
yeah,
gosh,
licenses are expensive, man. I couldn't believe what you told me the license was in Wisconsin. I mean, that's unheard of nowadays for it to be that inexpensive for an out of state tag. Like,
yeah, well, your first year you get half off.
Thanks.
So
now I'm really going to be tempted.
I think for like your first year going, there's like $75 or something like that.
Okay, so it's like 150 regular.
150 regular, yeah.
It's still cheap, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's dang near, and you get a doe with that too. So that's dang near the price of an Indiana resident tag. Like for a doe and for two does and a buck in Indiana, it's like $90 now.
That's cheaper than a Tennessee sportsman's license. Our sportsman's license is like 160, 170. Now that gets you like ducks, squirrels, free WMA draws. You can put in for them. You don't have to pay for the quota hunt. That's turkey. That's everything. But still, like if you go to Mississippi, I don't know what their license is now. I know it's still very cheap, but it was $32 forever for a Mississippi resident license. That's all game. Like, but for us to go down there, it was over $300, and that's not even for an archery tag. It's like $400 with your archery tag.
Yeah.
So,
well,
what's an Indiana tag cost for a non-resident?
It's 300 something.
Yeah, about everywhere 300. Yep. Illinois is $475, I think, right?
Yeah, Illinois is a little more expensive. Iowa's even more expensive. Kansas is up there too.
What's Iowa? Is it like $1,000?
Not quite, but yeah, it's getting up there. 7 something, I think.
Kansas is what, like 7 or 8?
Man, I can't remember, but it's expensive too. I buy so many tags a year; it's hard for me to keep track of all of them. But like those are the more expensive states. Well, but the bad part about Iowa is you got to spend $100 every time you put a freaking point in.
Yeah, that's true.
You got a bunch of money invested into it at the end of the day.
And it takes 6 years, so they're going to get you for close to $600 before you even draw a tag.
Yeah.
What about Missouri? Do you know what Missouri costs?
I've never bought a Missouri tag before. I've scouted in Missouri because I was planning on going there long time ago, back when I was in my 20s.
Their turkey tags aren't real bad, I don't think. I think I spent maybe $175 on a turkey tag or something like that for Missouri, and that's not too bad. I didn't feel like that was terrible for a turkey tag. So I think their deer tags, I don't remember. It's been a long time since I deer hunted in Missouri.
Yeah, I haven't deer hunted in Missouri. Hey Chad, what's up, man? He said, thank goodness for a lifetime license. Yeah, back in the day, you could buy a lifetime license in Indiana.
You can buy them here. You can get them here.
Still?
Yeah.
How much are they?
Man, they're not cheap, but they're not that much now that I'm a grown adult. They seem so much back when I was like, when they first came out, I was like 18. I want to say they were like $1,100 or something. And I was like, oh, I think they're like 2,000, maybe 3,000. I don't know what they are right now, but they're expensive. Now, if you get them for your kid, it's like when they're born, it's like $600 or something like that.
Dang.
Like, it's a heck of a deal for a kid. Like, everyone should buy their kid a Tennessee lifetime license. They have a native son license now you can buy if you were born here that you can get. That's a little, that save you some money. I just got to look at it like over time. Like, all right, how many more years do I have to hunt? Can I pay this thing off?
I'm
kind of halfway there now. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's not as worth spending
Yeah, you're just donating some money to the state.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, Chad. My dad has
750.
one back in the. I think he bought his probably around the same time. But yeah, he paid like 300 some bucks for it.
Wow. Look, Chris said his was 750 in Georgia.
Yeah, that's cheap too.
So Missouri's 276.50. That's for non-resident grant? Because
Yeah, I'm sure.
that's still not bad. That's like one of the cheapest ones I've seen.
Yeah, there you go. Kentucky, 400 bucks,
Yep.
150 for the hunting license, and then 250 for the permit.
Now, is that for archery only, or is that for the gun too? Do you have to buy a separate
I think
gun?
that covers everything. I could be
I think
wrong.
I think
It's
it
been
does.
a few years since I hunted Kentucky, but
You have to buy those Missouri licenses. So you have to buy one for archery and one for gun. So it's basically per deer is going to cost you 276. But heck, that's just a little bit more than Illinois, because Illinois is 475, and that's for one buck and one doe in Illinois.
yeah, Wisconsin's probably the best deal right now going.
Yeah, especially since you got a really good chance of killing a booner up there, compared to other states.
Yeah, well, yeah, there are more booners in Wisconsin. There's
Yeah, they kill more than any other state.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say you got a better chance, but
it depends where you're hunting at in the state too. I mean, if you're in northern Wisconsin, there's nothing. I mean, there's no booners up there. I mean, not no, but there's very few.
I would think if you made Kentucky, like if you hunted Kentucky velvet season over bait, I would imagine you'd have a pretty good chance of killing a buck deer in Kentucky early. But then it gets just as hard as everywhere else once the rut and they drop that velvet,
Yeah, but good luck finding a place to hunt on private in Kentucky.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay a bunch of money.
Yep. Yep. I actually hunted with a guy up there, and he had, it's weird, like he had 6 or 7 properties, and then he had his own property, and like he had guys that would pay him big bucks to shoot certain deer off his property. So one guy killed a 173 non-typical off his property, which is a pretty good deer. I mean, it wasn't like 173 non-typical is not huge, but it's still 173.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that guy worked out to kill that deer, but he killed that one. The next year, him and his son killed 2 booners off of it opening day off his property. Now, the other properties he had were just leases. Like he give a girl a turkey for Thanksgiving, and he got to hunt like 3 acres behind her house and planted food plots and everything. And he would do those velvet hunts, and he'd had some pretty nice deer on camera, for velvet. Nothing like, I mean, he had some 150s, was probably the bigger of what he had. All the bigger deer seemed to be on his place because he had more woods and it's a couple hundred acres. So, but he didn't usually take his guys, and you paid him like I paid. It was a club, but he also ran hunts, and I really didn't know how many hunts he ran until I got in it, and then I realized like these freaking does come in looking at me in the tree like the whole time, and like I've never hunted over bait except for there, and the does would walk in and they eat for 2 seconds and they run off. And then they come back to the bait, eat, and they run off. Like they do it like 5 or 6 times till they got comfortable and they knew there wasn't a hunter going to shoot them. I was like, man, these deer have been hunted like crazy because they walked around. As soon as they got in there, they looked up like this. It wasn't even fun. I was like, well, baiting ain't as easy as everybody says it is,
Just like anything else, the deer get smart to it.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you see that story going around on Facebook about the guy that saw the helicopter spraying the woods? And then, or the crop dusters, not the helicopters, the crop dusters spraying a wood somewhere, and him and his daughter found like 4 dead bucks in the woods after the spray got done. Like, and they were bleeding from their nose and mouth and stuff.
No.
Yeah. Oh, I guess he contacted the DNR about it. I think it may have been in Indiana, but I guess it was in Michigan. He contacted the DNR about it, and he just said it was real shady.
That's weird. What were they doing?
I don't know. He said they were crop dusting the woods as they saw the crop duster spraying the woods, and then him and his daughter found like several dead deer in there after the crop duster the next day.
Sounds like Agent Orange.
Yeah, and then the next day they found even more of them. I guess he kept like updating the post. Anybody else see that in online? I don't know what was going on there. That's weird though. I mean, I think they kind of blew it off as EHD or something, but it's like, why were they bleeding from the mouth? Like, that's super weird.
That's weird. That's weird. We're in a drought down here where you said EHD, man. And I'm just, Is there a drought in the Midwest, or is it just down south right now?
I wouldn't call us in a drought right now. I mean, we're a little bit dry, but not a drought.
I don't even know if you call us a drought, but it's been.
But we have EHD in Indiana right now.
You do?
Yeah.
I was thinking we might find some in those ponds at John's the other day, but we didn't. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
None of those deer, we didn't find any tracks around them either. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, right.
They're thirsty there.
But right now is when EHD is going to really show its face in the late summer, early fall. So, I don't know. I need to go. I got a creek on our property, big creek. I need to walk it just to see if there's anything dead around it. But, yeah, a lot of places in the U.S. are wet right now.
That's good.
Wisconsin, and they got a lot of rain.
I hope Illinois is this year, because last year, man, it was just dry like it was here. I mean, you could hear deer miles away, but I didn't even really think about this. But like one of the old men up there told me, he was like, "Yeah, those deer, they're not using these scrapes because it's so dry, and they can't." He was like, he didn't say it's scrapes. He says they're not having to do much because they're not having to rework the scrapes or something, or the scrapes wouldn't hold the scent because it was so dry, or something. He said it's kind of like, I never thought about that. I've never heard that either, but I'm not saying it wasn't true. When when they when it rains, they'll always come freshen up scrapes. I didn't know what dry weather did, but I can tell you this: it's Southern Illinois season last year. I think everybody will tell you it was terrible because of the dry weather. I don't think we had rain hardly at all for like 3 months last year. It didn't start raining here until December.
Yeah,
it was horribly dry.
We've been on the dry side this summer, but it's been worse. Like, we've gotten some timely rains. I think
wish we would.
Like, we got a good shower this afternoon, like I said, and rained a little bit last week too. So we're getting some rains. Yeah, that's how it's chase him. That's what I would say. It's not drought. I mean, it's fairly dry, but we've gotten some rain.
Dry is okay, but drought's another story. Like last year.
Like, your guys' crops are brown.
Oh yeah, they turned overnight. So I don't know if you remember, but when we drove down towards the highway where you came in off of, there's a bean field to the left.
Yeah.
Like it was green like last Friday. Like, there's not a leaf on those beans since yesterday. Like, and literally I left in the morning and there were does coming out of that field and they still all had leaves and they were like that yellowish color and a little green. And I came back from work like 5 or 6 hours later and they were all like, they were leaves that had actually dried. It looked like half the leaves had dropped off everything in just a day. Now there's no leaves on them up there. Like, it's just dry beans.
Dang, man.
Yeah, man, it's been super dry. I mean, it's ridiculous down here right now. I wish hopefully we get this rain coming in, man, because I need my yards to grow so I can make some money next month. It's bad enough it's been slow, but yeah.
I feel you. Man. I know. You've been working on John's property here this week now, though, mowing it.
Yeah, bush hogging.
It.
Yeah, bush hogging out there, going through those 10-foot tall fields that overgrown. Got a lot done. I'm going out there in the morning first thing. I'm kind of excited about going in the morning and watching the sun come up and bush hogging, because those deer. I drove that bush hog like literally 10 feet from a deer twice before it even got out of its bed.
Really?
It was a big doe. So I know people run over fawns all the time, and God, I don't want to do that. They're big enough now. I think they'll get up, but well, unless they're a late fawn, they might not. I saw a doe over in that neighborhood I took you yesterday. I swear she was pregnant. She was the biggest doe belly. Her belly was like sagging down to the ground.
Really?
Yeah, I bet you she's fixing to have a late one. But like, what's his name? Pepe. Pepe was a late fawn.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he had the little bitty. Pepe had some late antlers on it. But anyway, yeah, I did that, and then I was bush hogging yesterday in that field that we found that big oak tree that was loaded.
Yeah.
And there's some persimmons right before you get to that too. And a doe, when I went through the field twice and was on my way back, and a doe like jumped right out in front of my tractor. And I was like, holy crap, man. I guess they just don't care.
Yeah.
Bush hogging.
No, I don't think tractors don't bother them much. I think that's a pretty well occurrence they're used to for the most part.
Yeah. Hopefully we get some rain though. We need it.
Yeah. You will eventually.
Yeah. 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 One day. It's definitely going to rain sometime. I think John's taking sprayers over there and spraying with water and spraying his fields to try to keep his food plots from dying.
In Oklahoma or Arkansas, I mean.
Arkansas. Yeah. I think he's been watering his own fields.
You'd have to keep them going, or they just be wasting your time,
Yeah.
I've seen the juries do that before. They'll pull water out of a creek or a pond or something to spray their food plots.
Yeah, put a pump on it. I'd probably just put a little pump on it and run it from a battery and, run a hose.
Generator.
A generator and a hose, something like that. Yeah, to get them wet. God, that's a lot of work.
I know. Just don't plant food plots, man.
Yeah, they do help. They hold deer, and if you got a place like that,
I'm just joking around.
They help, but
it's easy for me to say because I don't have any place to plant food plots. So
yeah, I don't really either. I'm just hoping I have a place to plant food plots.
Yeah,
it's all on a whim. Either way, I'm paying it back a good buddy of mine for letting.
That's right. Me and Patrick are trying to talk John into letting us manage one of his properties for him in return.
Yeah.
No. Are you going to plant food plots out at your hunting club?
Some of the guys do. They plant like 2 or 3, but in that bottom it floods, so nobody does it, and they don't really work up there. I mean, there's so much pressure that the deer just between that and, like I said, the flooding, you can't establish a good food plot. I think a lot of the thing with food plots is like your first year is not going to be as good as your 4th or 5th year because the deer imprint, right? So they like let's say you're in a state that you can bait. Well, the more you bait deer, they learn that bait's there. Their fawns learn their bait's there, and so all the deer every year come to that field and live in that area because they know that bait's there. They do the same thing with food plots. So you kind of train them to come to use that food plot. So it just kind of doesn't really work. I've seen people do it up there. I've done it before. I planted a really good clover plot, and it lasted until the people started hunting and driving by it, and deer stopped using it completely. So it doesn't work real good.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
Well, I want to tell everybody too. So Josh's buddy Dave got me some razor broadheads. So thank you, Dave. And
Patrick's a trad bow hunter now.
Yes, I've got a trad bow. So I wanted to give a shout out to Dave for sending me these broadheads. That was super nice of you. And for sending me a cool hat. I needed a good hat to wear on the podcast, and I have one.
There you go. And BTE 20 gets you 20% off.
Yeah, BTE 20 gets you 20% off. And then I also want to say about those Latitude sticks that you were using. I've been using one sticks, and I'm really impressed with those Latitude sticks.
Yeah, you did like them a lot.
Josh is sponsored. I'm not. So I'm giving you the honest opinion on these sticks, and I'm going to be enthusiastic about it and have my beard shaped up. So the Latitude sticks, they're legit. If you guys saddle hunt, I would seriously suggest that they're a little cheaper too than the one sticks that I've been using, and I like the way they stack better. And I like my one sticks. My one sticks are great, but it just seemed like those sticks, they do stack better for sure. And that little strap that you had is a game changer. And then
that comes with them.
Yeah, and then the way that they attach is really secure. The one sticks are very secure too, so it's not like that was a better thing. But it just seemed like they seem to, I don't know if it's ergonomics or the way that they're made, but they just seem to not have that kick out as bad. Like I've kicked my one sticks out before. The Latitude sticks seemed a lot more solid when you're coming up and down the tree. So
I've never used a one stick. So
yeah, I've got a set. I got 4 of them and I like them. They got 8ers on them, but I was very impressed. So that's my little shout out to if anyone thinking about getting something from Latitude, and there's a code. What's the code, Josh?
Latitude doesn't have one yet.
Okay, Latitude doesn't have a code yet. We got to work on
sporadic ones.
Okay, well when they get a code,
they may email me and say like, "Hey, in October, use BTE and save some money." I don't know, but that's the plan right now.
Well, they're coming out with some good stuff. I'll tell you. Tether's probably the top of the industry, and that's who I started using because the hunting public, and I'm really impressed. Josh brought some of his stuff down from Latitude, and I got to use those steps, and I thought they were also the tether's really small, and so is the your lineman belt. It's a little bit, I mean, weight's not a big deal, but it's just I don't know. I like the whole system a lot.
Yeah, they do a good job. They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we also learned that deer don't like cinnamon.
Yeah, they don't like cinnamon. Yeah, we read about that. Yeah. I don't know why we talked. We just started talking about. So we heard cinnamon. My friend John was making a joke about cinnamon, and we started looking. What, the deer like cinnamon? Because we were looking at each other like, man, I was thinking. I don't know if you thought this, but you remember that cinnamon challenge where they would take the cinnamon, and it was like killing people or something, or like choking people to death. And I was thinking, there's no way deer could just eat raw cinnamon. Like, no way.
we misunderstood what he was saying.
Yeah, I was like, is John messing with me?
Yeah.
And then we figured it out, and then we looked it up, and I was like, okay, no, deer don't.
No, they don't like cinnamon.
Yeah, you use that to get rid of deer.
Anyway, and Patrick was making fun of me because on a review, someone said I didn't seem enthusiastic, and my beard, and then another person said my beard is crooked.
Yeah, we were just talking about how people notice everything.
Yeah, I know.
With you,
like you don't like doing these reviews.
Yeah. If you do something, if you say something wrong or you misspell a word, man, you watch out.
Oh, yeah.
I've done it to people, so I deserve the nano punch, to my face that I was talking about too. But
oh yeah,
yes. Go check out Josh's short on the nano.
Yeah.
To understand what I'm talking about. That was pretty funny.
You got one of your rants.
Yeah, it was early in the morning, and I was just, I don't know.
Yeah. Patrick spent too much time on Tennessee Deer Hunter or whatever that Facebook.
Yeah, get frustrated with people.
Every morning, Marco's means like, you know what they said on Tennessee Deer Hunter this morning? I'm like, oh no, what we got, Patrick?
Stuff. This is another little lesson for everybody out there. This is another lesson. So, all you folks out there that complain about people asking dumb questions on the internet, or that see people attacking people, if you're not helping somebody learn more about the outdoors, then you're not doing your job. And what do you expect them to do but ask dumb questions? So we could all help somebody to learn something, because now they go to the freaking internet and social media, and we know what kind of skid marks are on there. And so people like to trash people and tell them bad, stupid information. So if you've been hunting a long time and you know what you're talking about, or even if you think you know what you're talking about, share it along, pass it along to people so they can learn too. That's what I got to say.
Oh, 100%. All right. That's a good thing to end on. Everybody, hit the subscribe button before you leave.
God bless
30,000 subscribers, and we're going to do that gigantic giveaway. So we're actually growing as fast as I've ever grown right now, which is good to see.
I saw that today. Let's keep it rolling.
Keep it moving.
I'll send you an old bodybuilding pic of me with my autograph.
That's what you do. That's what you do at Patrick's in the middle of the day. He watches old bodybuilding shows. He said, "Look at that guy's lats. Look at that guy's lats up there, man. Look at that. That's popping out like that." I'm like,
watching Dorian Yates win 1993 Mr. Olympia.
Look at the definition of them calves. Yeah.
Look, he's got a torn tricep in this one. This is the last year he competed. He barely won.
This is the 1997 Ronnie Coleman on this one here. Look
how Yeah, look here. This is the year Ronnie won. He was in 97. Look, he was number 17th, and then the 98 he won the Mr. Olympia. He was the best there is.
It's a super interesting sport. I've never seen anybody so passionate like you are about it. Like you watch it like any people watch football.
Yeah, it changed my life when I was a kid, because I had low confidence and all that stuff, and I started training, man, and it just I just fell in love with it. I need to start doing it again instead of training my hand to mouth coordination where I eat.
Yeah,
I need to start pumping iron again. Yeah, Flex Wither was a specimen, man. See?
Oh, we watched some of him. We watched him.
Watch out. You thought wrestling was hot. We're going to get on bodybuilding. All these guys know. Bye, y'all.
Who's Sergio? I don't know who that is.
Oliva, he was one of the first Mr. Olympians. He's before Arnold.
Oh.
His son competes now. His son is huge, man. He held his son up in like the 1983 Mr. Olympia, I think, when he was just a baby. And now his son competes. They look just alike. He's a little lighter skinned. I think Sergio was from he was from the Dominican Republic, I think, and or Cuba or something like that. And so his son, I mean, he was a black guy, but but not like a Sammy Sosa black guy that turns white when he's not in the sunlight. He was, a Haitian like black. Anyway, his son's pretty dang good too. But he hadn't really won anything.
See what I'm talking about, everybody.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Love y'all. See you later.